this episode, Matt Roberts and Chrisna Kruger talk about how smaller companies now have access to the same data advantages that was once reserved for the bigger players, and that actually the real magic happens when humans and AI work together as thinking partners. There's some really good hints and tips on how you can build AI literacy across your organization. So you've then got the opportunity to combine that machine speed and human creativity to unlock your team's strategic potential. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, Chrisna. So one of the things that we do frequently is check in, chat, kind of talk to each other about what we're seeing, what we're being exposed to in terms of what customers' key challenges are. We're developing our own sort of thoughts around that as well as our own capabilities, and we never record them.
Correct.
So we thought, wouldn't it be good to sometimes, when we're talking about something really important, that we record it? And I think the chat that we had yesterday was about AI, as a lot of our chats are right now.
Mhm.
And we're seeing OKRs in our customers' businesses that are, often around building a capability or upping the skill level within their org or enhancing their products with AI. We're using it more and more as trainers, as consultants in businesses too. So I think that probably sets the scene for what I think we talk about a lot, but we've never recorded.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking last night about our conversation yesterday about, there's a real advantage there's always been an advantage for bigger companies because they have the resources to have massive data teams. They have the resources to have everything data driven. And what I've seen definitely in tech companies, or at least the ones that I work with, some of their decisions were made just on data. And I think now with the benefit of AI, your small and medium firms and even your smaller consultancies has got that edge now as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think necessarily people always have the ability to interpret the data that they get, quickly given by AI.
Mm.
And that's why, like yesterday, we were talking about, you still need that, you can now quickly get your competitor advantage. You can quickly get all these data and models and things that will give you a really good idea of where you stand in the market. But it's always a good idea to have kind of a thinking partner with you, even if it's AI or if it's ZOKRI coming in, because it will give you, that additional advantage to kind of interpret the data and say, okay, this is what the data says. Now what? Or what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And the same thing around, like smaller companies can now pivot quicker. You don't have to, you can actually, your size actually, it benefits you in this case.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen, and the clients we're working with, it's very difficult to put any kind of change in, especially, even if the data, if the leadership at the top decide, okay, now we're pivoting, it's very difficult to kind of then communicate that change down and then now pivot and go. Where in smaller companies, and if you have a good plan and a strategy, you can actually execute quicker.
So, that's probably worth just two things within that. Kind of, I want to pick up on thinking partners, but first, kind of size of company, ability to kind of implement change. Yes, we work with companies that are sometimes many thousands, and no surprise that coordinating that group of people is much harder, making change is much harder. When you've got 100 people, it's much easier. Which you're right, absolutely, that's an advantage. And you mentioned thinking partners, and I was thinking about this the other day as well, which is ultimately we are there to make really good decisions, explicit decisions about what we're going to do and what we're not going to do, and that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Our colleagues are thinking partners.
Yeah.
When you get a cross-functional group of people, if they are, a really good team, they are going to share their thoughts, experiences, data, creativity, etc. I think typically that's not optimized. And one of our jobs is to kind of optimize the colleague to colleague path.
Yeah.
We are thinking partners because we get to see a broad spectrum of challenges across many orgs of varying sizes and various industries that, and of course we have backgrounds ourselves. And I think one of our skills is to obviously challenge and be challenged, and to allow people to improve their critical thinking.
Yeah.
And I think AI for me has just superpowered that as well. I don't know how I do know a bit about how you're using AI, but I use it to challenge me as much as it gives me. AI used well, even within your prompting, you can explicitly say, I want to break this as much as I want to make this. That confirmation bias can be built out by how you even use AI, and with its advanced reasoning, with its ability to do research. For me, AI is a thinking partner. So if I think about preparing a whole big body of research about an industry, a sector, a market, whatever that might be, what would probably take me a lot of hours over a week to create multiple documents. It isn't just put a prompt in, take what you're given. It's a back and forth that is really expansive. But that may feel like, you've maybe invested, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20 hours, whatever that might be. But what you've got back, you have a degree of confidence in, because you've been of the way you've been interacting with the models. You've probably used inputs from meeting with customers and all that kind of that blending, that human thinking with machine thinking.
Yeah.
And you've come out with something that would have taken months, which is often what puts people off big strategic conversations.
Exactly.
In days. And then when you get together, you're well prepared. Now, you can send around packs of information that are about markets, opportunities, possible decisions that we might want to debate. We can prepare additional data. So some of the things that I'm a huge fan of is giving people tasks before the workshop where we need to go and find something out, because in the workshop we don't want to go, we can't action this because we need to find something out. But it kind of unearths all of that before we get together, human debate. And then so this kind of prepare stage of decision making has really been optimized for me. And then we can kind of come together, diverge, converge, and plan. But that has been streamlined and enhanced massively.
Yeah, and I think that's, you really get your time worth as such in a workshop where, a lot of the time when you arrive, you're a business leader, you arrive at a workshop with kind of an intention of, building your strategy or whatever, but you don't necessarily know where to start, or you're bringing in a consultancy firm that you're kind of waiting for them to tell you where, and that's kind of similar to using AI. If you use AI just as an advisor, you're probably going to get it wrong. But if you use it kind of in what I see is like the next stage, what you were saying, like if you use it as a strategic partner and you kind of challenge yourself, and obviously it's it's quick input as well.
Yeah.
It makes you a better strategic thinker.
Yeah.
I think so. And many people won't agree. They say, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I changed my life in a sense that, because sometimes massive amount of information is difficult to dissect. So I will tell them, okay, give me it in a certain way.
Yep.
So that my brain can understand it, and then I can also talk about it easier, or I can do a workshop on it, things like that.
And I think this is kind of skill, as much as we're investing in becoming kind of, let's say, really good at this, but you never quite know how good you are, because you never really know about how good anyone else is. But I would like to think we're pretty good at this. But that's taken a huge investment in time. And I think what I was really pleased to see is all of the big models, so ChatGPT, Claude, etc. They're building these training academies now,
Yeah.
where anyone can go and become good at this. And you know, even within kind of your professional networks and LinkedIn, etc., lots of people are sharing these tips on, you know, how they're using AI, how they're building prompts, how they're, you know, even building kind of agents now that are supporting them in that sort of whole period of agentic AI. And one of the reasons why we kind of built the ability to support clients to even build capabilities within their orgs is it's still a bit of a dirty secret, which is, you know, for some companies, some employees are using it, you know, to the side without it being explicit they can use it. We're not doing that cross-fertilization of what you're seeing amongst colleagues, how we're using it, how it's enhanced our day. Leaders aren't sharing their stories of how it's improving what they're doing, like we're doing here.
Yeah.
It's that explicit ability to actually say, this is something we need to take really seriously. We have you know, the ability to train people, build policies, encourage peer-to-peer group training within teams. And it's when we normalize that, I think that's something that's, you know, magical, because suddenly it's not just a productivity bump, it's a quality bump. So, you know, in the example I was giving you earlier, I'm taking data to workshops that companies would not have had unless AI was able to help me generate insights that were, you know, previously not available.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, it helps companies make decisions better, but not only just on. I think that's again when, you know, you have a data or a dashboard. I'm going to say this again. It's like that gives you the what. And like traditionally, if you only focus on your data and you make decisions only on your data, I think sometimes you become risk averse, and I'm sure that's a well, not I'm sure. It is a psychological thing that if you constantly do that and you actually miss that intuition or that human layer as well, where I think our workshops is in a sense that you take your data, you see what it is, but you still have that creativity or that, you know, push to be slightly more optimistic or risky in your OKRs, in something you strive for, and you test it.
Mm.
I think just purely, you know, that's the extra benefit of kind of this human AI, what do you call it, interaction.
Yeah.
Such.
I think that's really important, because creativity is that magical moment where that one spark is something that might not have ever been done before. You know, AI models can only teach you or come up with a response because they've been trained on what has happened before. Humans are able to basically summon a new pattern, a new combination, a new bit of information that has never been seen by AI before. Therefore, it is genuinely different. And that's an important addition. And I think I'm just remembering conversations that I have with leaders in that preparation work, where we do one-on-ones before we kind of get together and we try and explore what they're seeing, what they're, you know, what they're experiencing. And some of those are even customer conversations where you're trying to really dig into what do customers want? What's the value they're seeing? What are the people using your products and services saying and doing? And every now and again, something that's a sentence to somebody has a disproportionate value that does spark that thing. And that hasn't been published on the web, so it hasn't been crawled by an AI agent or bot.
Yeah.
It doesn't have it in its lexicon of information. But, you know, humans we've got these memories, we've had these conversations, we've had these human interactions. And these human interactions are often where the value is, and that kind of light bulb eureka moment. And augmenting that with data, at least it gives you an opportunity to do something that's, you know, truly different and could be a step change. You still have to, you know, how to kind of build confidence in your belief and hypothesis, but it wouldn't have been given to you by a LLM or a
Exactly.
AI model.
Exactly. Do you think, would you say that if you use it in that way, if you use the kind of AI data us as a strategic think partner, as well as kind of AI as a strategic partner, how much do you think like your strategy is actually going to be successful? Like, I mean, it must enhance your probabilities. If I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, you can have a lot of fun with agents. You can basically get them to play red team, blue team. You know, break this, synthesize competitor responses to us making these decisions and going into this. You know, doing this thing. You know, challenge me on from a different perspectives or from different angles, and you come up with some really interesting insight that way. But you still need the ability to look at that and go, yes, no, it passes the test. It still requires you, a me, a customer to go, you know, call bullshit or not on some information you're seeing, and that ability to challenge that. It's not a one prompt get document done exercise. It's a many, you know, tens or hundreds of step process. And I think with experience, you're not even aware you're having this debate. I mean, I don't know how I'm guessing, you know, I know you're very similar. So we're almost treating it like a team or a mega researcher or a human in our dialogue with it, but we're doing that in a very structured way. And I think we're now at the point where it's so natural to us, we're not thinking about it. Every now and again, I do take a step back and go, what did I just do? Because I think it's quite interesting. So we could probably teach it or whatever. But it's I think this is becoming just part of our everyday in the same way you Googling used to be. You know, this is our best new team member.
Exactly. I do think not a lot of people are tapping into this yet, you know, or I really think that from a maturity point of view, well, you know, you see it in big clients we're working with now. It's AI adoption is just to use some, you know, ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever, to ask questions or write emails and things like that. It's you know, AI can be twofold. AI can obviously increase your productivity because you're automating things that can be automated. But then it actually opens up this whole scope of, okay, now we can actually make better decisions. Now we can think more strategically with the help of AI. And again, it comes back to anybody can do it. You can be a startup doing it. You don't need the big four firms to advise you. You don't need to be like, you know, a massive tech company to be able to get to these answers. It's incredible. So it actually, I think it enhances probability to take some more riskier decisions as well, in some ways, and then really be ahead of your competition.
I think the chat, you know, when you're talking about quality, I've been sent documents that I know AI has written and they're not very good.
Yeah.
You know, there's no other way of saying it, which is I you know, it's just obvious that, and they're not very good. And that's the bar and that's the challenge, which is when our employees or whoever's using this and wielding this amazing power, knowing when something isn't very good or hasn't crossed that quality threshold, or it hasn't augmented and improved them, it's just delivered some mediocrity fast. That takes skill, takes a bit of a QA process.
Okay.
It takes some training and development, and it doesn't happen overnight. And it also takes, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, a manager that has to kind of see that and then respond to it and go, this isn't very good. That's an overhead as well. Yet all of that potential is there.
Exactly.
Unused, untapped into. It's a complicated time.
Exactly. Now, I mean, you can see it quite interesting that people just because they can use AI, then they produce, say, like a report that's not very good. How I normally do it, and if it's something important, I would write it, I will put it into a different LLM to check it for me, and then give me some feedback and say, oh, have you thought about this? This doesn't sound right. And, like in fact check and everything, kind of de-AI it a little bit so that you actually have thought about it as well before you give it to a client or a customer or so it's just not what was the new lingo, like AI schlop.
Yeah.
That's doing the rounds.
HBR article about the amount of time going into fixing or correcting really averageness. And I think a couple of things there, sort of kind of the hallucinations that basically AI can have. You've got to be acutely aware of those. You've got to have the ability to check the data if it's data orientated or fact checking, as that might be, and that's a skill by itself. I'm also thinking about even your technique there of using different models, different models, there are different things. That's interesting. But also in the prompting, and one of the things that I quite enjoy is not putting a prompt in, but asking an AI agent to help me make the prompt, to critically think with me from multiple perspectives to build the prompt and then execute the prompt. And that for me is also greatly enhanced the output, which is not going straight to a prompting language, but to basically deliberately and explicitly request a kind of a debating partner to build the prompt. And that's a good technique that I don't think enough people use.
Yeah, I think there's also, because when AI started to become popular, and the whole thing about you need to know how to prompt engineer and everything like that. I've seen it recently. I've been speaking to some women at a business meeting, and they were saying, yeah, I'm not really good at it because I can't prompt, or I don't have the right prompt and stuff like that. And it's an odd one because it's so easy. It's like, okay, ask AI to help you prompt. Pull in all your ideas on I use voice to text a lot. Pulling all your ideas and say, I want to do this, help me write the prompt. And then you can even put it in the agent mode or whatever to make sure that you double check your information. And it's incredible actually how you can not necessarily speed up, but also kind of enhance your quality of work that you produce, or the things that you want to do.
Yeah. So I think there's undoubtedly this is an advantage if your company, employees, managers, leaders can do this. It's an advantage that you have over competitors that can't. I don't know what the multiple in productivity can be if you're doing it well. If there is possibly a negative multiple too, if you're really doing it badly. But it's not going away anytime soon. So I think, how we create, structured paths, how we communicate, when to use it, how to use it, what's acceptable, what's not, how we peer-to-peer share our learnings. That's a deliberate process by itself. But I believe that if a company does that, then it might manifest itself as OKRs or a strategic theme or whatever that might be.
Yeah,
they are advantaged in the marketplace, and this isn't about the kind of replace or augment. For me, we're right in that sweet spot of augmenting right now. I know I've been greatly enhanced by my capabilities as a human. You're saying pretty much the same, but I don't know anybody that uses it to a very good or high level that isn't of the opinion they are now superpowered. And that isn't a dirty secret. I'm going to workshops where I am better prepared. I have prepared the people in the workshop, more than ever. They have pre-reading, documents, research, challenge questions. Then that magic happens when you get FaceTime with people. You build social equity. You have really robust debates. You're tapping into those little moments that they've got in their head. You're building energy, urgency. These are the belief An AI model can't do that.
Exactly. I think coming back to what you were saying, that people are scared to say they use it. It's a, oh, I don't know what I was talking about.
Well, I think, I mean, ultimately, we've been talking about AI for planning benefit, right? And helping us critically think, make better decisions, get people in a room, optimize their decisions. It's still teams that have to execute. It's still people that have to do the work most of the time. They might do that work a little bit faster. Once they've got their, their strategy, their goals, their metrics, all the things that we care about that really help and accelerate that kind of position to advantage. But they still need to be, that human to human playbook is still very much there. We still need to work together, collaborate, function as humans. We just need to make sure that, we're functioning in the best possible way. Still have to build culture. Still have to build, the kind of belief in where we're going that creates that discretionary effort. Still need to kind of manage and develop people. But even that sort of idea around, developing people, we develop faster and learn faster if we have access to information.
Exactly. And I think, it also kind of gives you the advantage of being very, like, it's diverse input if you prompt the AI obviously correctly. But you're not necessarily going to make a huge amount of mistakes if you challenge it and say, make sure that you're, say we're doing a customer analysis, whatever, make sure that you kind of take in all the cultures in our customer panel in, where if you just acted solely on intuition, then you probably got it wrong. If you acted solely on a, say, like a big company in America prompt, then you'll probably get it wrong as well. And you see like loads of these stories in the media where people just got it so wrong because they didn't listen to the customer or whatever, or they used AI in the wrong way. So it's really important that not just looking at the data, but then also working with someone on the human side, or like someone like us, to kind of interpret it and still like include your intuition and your creativity into it, into your strategy.
Yeah, amazing. So that was a window in one of the many chats that we have frequently. That I suspect makes us pretty good at what we do. But I think we're everyone's in this boat right now. We're pushing, we're learning, we're having to kind of fertilize all of these skills and bits of insight that we're gathering. And in the same way we get together as teams, most days and have that processing. I think we're in a position now where, if you're not doing that in and across your teams, with one of the topics being, who's done some pretty cool stuff with AI this week, how did you do it? Let's see the output. Then we're missing the trick.
Yes, that normality, bringing that normality into the equation.
Yeah.
And any type of teams, it doesn't need to be, tech teams or product teams. It can be your functional teams as well. And actually, I think the benefit in your functional teams is even better, because they can really partner with the business better.
Yeah.